Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now before we get right into this, I just want to say Happy New Year's to everybody, and I hope you guys have a wonderful 2020. Now, before we get into that lovely content, be sure to like the video, comment down below during the video if there is something you would like to discuss, and afterwards consider subscribing to the channel and checking out my other videos. Thank you, let's get right into that lovely content. Let's go! Our first story comes to us from username TrashiestBurb. 5th grade neckbeard doesn't like it when I do my work. I'm pretty sure I've never posted anything on Reddit, but here goes. The details of this may be a bit inaccurate as due to personal reasons, most of my memories from before 7th grade have kind of been suppressed. Haha. Sorry if this story doesn't qualify for this Reddit. For 5th grade only, I went to elementary school a few counties away from where I currently live. We had just moved there from across the country, so it was tough for me. We had gone from the west to the southeast, so a new school wasn't the only thing I had to adapt to. I was desperate to make a friend and sit with similar interests to me. To my perceived luck at the time, I was seated next to someone like that at the first day of school. Enter the juvenile neckbeard, we'll call him Dash. He was pretty close to what I'd imagine a 10-year-old neckbeard would be like. He smelled pretty terrible, but being new to the place, I was always sick. New environment, new germs, so I never really smelled him much due to that. He was very into anime. We immediately clicked because of our mutual interest in My Little Pony, hence the synonym I'm using, Rainbow Dash was our mutual favorite, and the friendship that started off was a huge success. I had made other friends in the meanwhile, but for the first quarter or so, he was my closest friend. One day, he asked me if I liked Pokemon. I'd never so much as touched a Pokemon game or any episode of the anime, but I did have some junk Pokemon cards my friends from my previous school gave me. Desperate to not lose a friend, I said yes. He proceeded to ramble on about Pokemon for a good while, luckily never asking for my opinion on anything in particular. And I'm gonna be honest, I ignored 99% of what he was saying, but I heard enough to watch some episodes of the Pokemon anime at night. I believe it was Gen 5 at the time. But after the first quarter, he left to live with his family in another state for a while. Him being my only friend, I was forced to expand my friend horizons. By the time, my knowledge of Pokemon was decent enough to hold a conversation about it. That's when I met this nice, shy, nerdy girl who I'll call Dragonite. That was her favorite Pokemon. I learned from Dragonite, who used to be Dash's friend, that Dash has a nasty bit of being really rude when people don't agree with him or things don't go his way, and that he is really possessive of his friends, especially female ones. I'm skeptical of this, so I shrug it off, and surely he can't be that bad. The next quarter passes, and Dragonite is starting to come out of her shell. She is a lot more outgoing and starts making friends with the outgoing girls I sometimes hung out with. Things are going well, then Dash came back. I tried to be as friendly as possible despite what Dragonite told me. He got increasingly aggressive in class, however. Essentially, he hadn't been doing any schoolwork despite the teacher giving him all of the work in advance to work on while he wasn't in school. This kid essentially thought he was getting a few months of vacation. He started to throw fits in class. I mean, get on the ground and flail while screaming kind of fits. It was extremely embarrassing to me, especially after I told everyone that I didn't think Dash was that bad. He was also especially upset that I went out of class once a week to go to more advanced courses. He didn't give any reasons. He just said I should be in a regular class like the rest of us. Kinda struck me the wrong way, but I ignored it, hoping he wouldn't bring anything up like that. Everything came to a point when about a month or two after he got back, there was this little group assignment. I was paired with Dash, Dragonite, and another girl I was friends with. Things were going fine at first, until I noticed Dash kept checking over my paper as I was working. I tried to ignore it, but eventually he takes my paper and starts working on it. A conversation ensues. Hey, what are you doing? That's my paper. You just need some help. Let me finish it for you. I like my work done a certain way. Dragonite and the other girl know that. I start to panic because his handwriting is honestly god-awful and I didn't want him doing the assignment for me. It didn't sit right in my mind. Hey, Dash, if she wants to do her own paper, let her. I'm just helping. She doesn't want your help. Dash continues to ignore them. I can't really do much because in 5th grade I had a lot of anxiety issues, so I just sat motionless as he kept doing my work. Dragonite isn't having any of it though. She goes off on him and I don't exactly remember what's being said, but I do remember that Dash stood up and started ripping my paper. Dragonite stopped him, so he only ripped a little past the name header. He was furious and had a fit. He got down on the floor and flailed again, screaming very incoherently. When the teacher noticed and started walking over to calm him down, he bit Dragonite on the leg. Yeah, gross. Didn't talk with him the rest of the time I was there. He just silently glared at me from time to time. Wish I could say something else interesting happened, but alas, there would be no more mental scarring from that boy. I really am thankful for Dragonite standing up for me. It wasn't a big deal, but she cared about it regardless. Really hope she's doing well now, wherever she is. As for Dash, don't know where he is now, but I'm sure he's out somewhere gathering fedoras and harassing people. I do have to thank him for introducing me to Pokemon though, so thanks man, really hope you turned over a new leaf and fixed your entitled ways. I have to say, I've known people like this. They want to be the center of attention and they want to be like the main character of their own story, but they don't really realize that other people exist and that they live their own lives. If I looked like I needed something and somebody offered to help me, but I was perfectly fine doing my job by myself, I would not really need their help, so after declining, it would be really rude for them to insist and kind of force themselves to help. Our next story comes to us from username Lady Baphomet. Neckbeard waits until I turn legal to convince me to cheat on my significant other with him. TLDR, knew a neckbeard who was much older than me and waited until I was legal age to try and convince me to cheat on my significant other. Back when I was 16, I used to hang out with my friend Jay at his place of work in this old convenience store near my house. We often watched movies at his work as there was a TV by the DVD rental station. He had a coworker that we will call Redbeard or RB. RB was pretty okay when I first met him, mostly kept to himself. He was older than Jay and I, who were in grade 10 and 11 at the time, while RB was near the end of his 4-year college program. I should also mention that my stepmom was uber strict when it came to male friends, thus I was not allowed to hang out with RB without Jay or another same age friend present. RB and I had some interests in common such as anime, video games, and the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. We even did a few events together at the local card shop. That was until my parents split and I turned of age. At this point was when RB started calling me to hang out alone at his place. I should mention that I had a partner at the time and the relationship was awful as he was also your stereotypical neckbeard type, just skinny and looked like Orlando Bloom. Anyway, RB would invite me over weekly to his place where we'd watch anime and game while eating pizza, sometimes watch an entire season of a sitcom we liked. During these hangouts, he'd start to try and cause issues between my future ex-partner and I. And you know the typical, you need a real man, I'll treat you better malarkey, while trying to cuddle me or getting me to sit on his lap, and I'd have to tell him often that he needed to respect that I was taken. Each time I'd tell him, he'd say sorry and agree to stop, only to start back up again after a few weeks. It all came to a head when he told me that he had feelings for me since I was 16, went on and on about various lewd sexual fantasies about me, and then to top it all off, begged me to cheat on my significant other because he was horny. Gave me a sob story about how his ex and only girlfriend he ever had was a cold dead fish and never wanted to mess around with him. That was when I snapped and I told him that he has zero respect for me as a person for even thinking it was okay to ask me to cheat on my partner just so he could get some messing around. I left and cut all contact with him after that point as I had given him more than enough chances to stop being a pervert. It definitely does kind of suck when they don't get the idea when you're taken or anything, but it's also just kind of sad when they try to pity it out of you. Yes, hello ma'am, can you spare some nookie m'lady? Our last story comes to us from username Matsuyorific. Grown man pouts like a child because I'm in pain and won't give him any. Found this Reddit through Voicey here, and listening to some of these stories made me think of my own neckbeard experience. He was sort of shaved for the most part, but everything else about him really does fit. Overweight, nice guy who likes anime and thinks he's entitled to his girl. This was way back when I used to work for a restaurant, and while working there was hell sometimes, most of the staff was pretty tight-knit, especially when it came to me, because I had the outlook of a child when it came to life, and still do. Not that I'm dumb or ignorant or anything, I know what the world looks like without them, but I prefer the view through rose-colored glasses. I will give people the benefit of the doubt until they show they do not deserve it. A few months prior, I allowed a coworker whom no one but me liked to come live with me for 2 weeks. She was pregnant, and the father was an abusive a-hole. She told me how her brother threatened to run her over with his truck when she refused to allow the father to have full custody, and my way too nice for my own good self told her that she needed to get out of that situation. I told her how I was allowed by my complex to have a guest for up to 2 weeks and that she could come stay with me until she found her own place. Long story short, she slept with my boyfriend, lied to me about the hickey on her neck, and despite everyone else telling me otherwise, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. He broke up with me a week later and I was heartbroken. Everyone at the restaurant hated her guts for what she did to me, and she wound up having to leave due to no one liking her anymore. I was like the little sister of the place, and no one messes with a little sister. The love was real, and I'm really grateful for the support I received from my coworkers. Fast forward a few months, and the restaurant hired a new guy to make the milkshakes. I'm super friendly, so I naturally introduced myself. We found out we both loved anime, and it wasn't long before we started dating. Everyone at work was really happy for us, especially after the crap I'd gone through before. We eventually eventually decided to move in together, as it meant I would be able to live more comfortably and he would be able to move out of his mother's house. He had been living with her ever since he got divorced. I should have seen the signs when he told me why they divorced. Apparently he'd hit her, but I didn't know the full story. He assured me that he'd gotten help afterwards and his anger issues were now under control. Funny enough, he still insisted that I have a taser on me in case he tried anything. He also told me that he planned on finding a better job. He wanted to make all the money so that I never have to work again. I mean, that's not a bad sentiment, but I have dreams. Dreams that do involve me working. Dreams that would require more than one source of income to make true. I wasn't about to give that up. He was very possessive of me. He did not like that my best friend was male, despite the fact that he was gay and lived in another country. He did not believe in gays and would say that all men only wanted one thing. He would also say a lot of homophobic things when my BFF and I would video chat, and BFF was naturally offended. I think of BFF like my little brother. I love him, but in the most platonic way. I don't think he liked the fact that I was a YouTuber either. Clearly, any male fans I might have would only be watching me for one thing. Yeah, great thing to tell someone who spent their entire lives being told they never would be anything more than a burden on everyone around them. My boyfriend was also very needy and could not accept that love also came in non-physical forms. I was only interested in finding a life partner and he was only interested in finding a blow-up toy. I am not a prude. I have adult urges just like any other healthy adult, but I also understand that there is more to life than intercourse. I really only like putting out when I'm into it. He wanted it 24/7. He even wanted it when I was on my period. I told him I didn't want to get blood everywhere and he didn't care. I told him I was cramping super hard and he tried to tell me that intercourse would make the pain stop. WTF. Every time I told him no, he would sulk and act like a child who couldn't have a cookie after dinner. He acted all hurt and played the victim and ended up slamming the door on his way to work. Every time he threw a tantrum, I wanted to give it to him less and less. He wound up leaving, and by that point, I was so numb to him, I did not care at all that he was gone, and BFF was glad to see that I was out of that unhealthy relationship. Fast forward a few years, and I no longer work for the restaurant. I also have a new boyfriend who treats me right, he loves to cuddle, and fully respects my boundaries. BFF also approves of him, and they get along quite well. We've been dating for a year now, and though we plan to take things slow, we are already talking about our future together. He supports my dreams, and even has his own that complement mine very well. We both want the same things out of our relationship, and hope that we will be each other's last. And with that, that is going to have to be it for the video. If you would like what you had seen, be sure to like the video, comment down below what you liked about the video, and afterwards consider subscribing to the channel, becoming part of the amazing notification squad, and checking out the other videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.